The NBA is filled with over 300 active players, and there being only 48 minutes a game, there's a lot of guys in the league that don't get the minutes that they deserve. So I decided to go through some numbers and do a little research and come up with 5 guys that are underutilized on the team. This list is not in any order at all, and as always, if you got 5 guys you feel like are underutilized on the team, be sure to comment down below. Let's get to the first guy. The first guy on the list is a guy averaging 17.8 minutes per game on the best team in the league, and I'm talking about Festus. He's an upcoming free agent this summer, and I have no doubt in my mind that some team out there will offer this guy big money to be the starter on their team, and let me give you the reason why. Festus has improved his rebounding percentage and his player efficiency rating every season that he's been in the league. His per game stats don't really seem that impressive, so I decided to look into the advanced stats. When it comes to plus minus, the Warriors are plus 14.4 per 100 possessions when he's on the court, which basically just means that per 100 possessions that he's on the court, his team is outscoring the opponent team by 14 points. That is just ridiculous. And I mentioned that his player efficiency rating has gone up every year. Right now, he outranks Andrew Bogut and Harrison Barnes, both starters on this Warriors team, in PER. Right now, he's sitting at 18.1. He could be a starter in the league for a lot of different teams, and that's why I think he's underutilized. Granted, this Warriors team is great, so honestly, I wouldn't change anything. But I do think he's underutilized on this team, and I do think if he decides to leave Golden State this summer, he would definitely be a starter next year. The second guy on the list is a big man in Milwaukee, only averaging 16.7 minutes per game, and I'm talking about John Henson. Right now, Milwaukee's front court is full. They have Greg Monroe, Jabari Parker, Johnny O'Brien, Miles Plumlee, and John Henson, all averaging over 10 points per game. So it's unfortunate for John Henson to be in this situation because he's struggling to find minutes. But to me it's weird because last summer they actually paid this guy $44 million over 4 years, and in my eyes I thought that was a sign that the guy's minutes was going to increase so much, but they really haven't. And it's not because he's not playing well. Let me give you some stats. So the block percentage is an estimate of the percent of opponents' 2-point field goal attempts blocked by a person while he's on the floor. I think that's important that you know that before I give you the next stat. Right now there are 2 players in the league that have a block percentage over 10. First, Hassan Whiteside. As you can imagine, we've seen the guy get triple doubles with blocks at 10.7 is his block percentage. Then the second guy on the list, you guessed it, is John Henson at 10.1. And these guys are so far off the competition because number 3 on the list is Rudy Gobert, and the guy is at 6.4. As you can hear by that number, he is an elite shot blocker in the league, but he's only getting 16.7 minutes per game. The next stat I had was mind-blowing when I saw it. So I was looking at John Henson's per 36 minutes numbers, and I thought it looked oddly familiar. So I put it side by side with Serge Ibaka, and as you can see, these numbers are very, very close to each other. Of course, John Henson definitely doesn't have the jump shot that Serge Ibaka does, but look at this. Serge has been a starter in his league for a couple years now, and John Henson is only getting 16.7 minutes per game. Of course, if we had to pick between Serge Ibaka and John Henson, I'm sure most of us would pick Serge, but I'm just trying to make the case that John Henson is definitely underutilized on his team. The third guy on the list is averaging 16.6 minutes per game and is the Prince. Not Tayshaun Prince, but Luke Richard Ba-Mute. We're just going to refer to him as the Prince because his name is a mouthful to say. So the Prince definitely isn't known for his offensive ability. He's only averaging 2.9 points per game in those 16.6 minutes, but his presence is definitely known. It's really weird when I hear these stats. So somehow when he's on the court, his team becomes a better offensive team. But he can't shoot. He doesn't make his own shot, so it's kind of weird to me, but it works. Before he jumped into that starting lineup, the team was 8-8. They were still trying to figure out if they liked Lance Stevenson or Wesley Johnson. Then the Prince was like, hey, you know what? Maybe I should start. And since he jumped in that starting lineup, the team has been 30-12. The Prince is usually known for his defense, but even his defensive numbers aren't that great. He's only averaging a couple steals and maybe even a block a game, but somehow when he's on the court, he makes his teammates better. And that's just weird to say considering his numbers aren't great. So the fourth guy on the list is a point guard averaging 19 minutes per game for the best team in the league, and I'm talking about Shaun Livingston. The Shaun Livingston story is great, man. I love what he's been through. So he came right out of high school, came to the league, was drafted like 4th overall to the LA Clippers. He didn't start off great. He definitely didn't start off great, but he was a freak of nature at this time. He was 6'7", I mean he still is 6'7", but 6'7" with a wingspan of 6'11". 18 years old, and he played the point guard position. That was unseen in the league, of course, besides Magic, and that's probably why he got drafted so high, because they thought he was going to be a Magic reincarnation. The beginning of his career was tough. Only his 3rd season into the league, he literally snapped his leg. Snapped it basically in half. And a lot of people thought he was not going to be able to walk again. But look at him now. He's played for 9 teams in his career so far, but right now he's back on top, playing for the best team in the league. So I was looking at his numbers, of course, and like me picking him was basically just based on my eyes. I've watched this team play, and to me, he's like the ideal backup point guard. I was looking at his numbers, and one thing that surprised me, in his entire career, he was drafted in 2004, he's only made a total of 12 3-pointers. And that's really weird to me because he plays for a team that is notorious for their jump shooting. But when he's in the game, he brings a ton of versatility. Him being 6'7" is a big part of their offense, a big part of his game, because he uses that size to post up these smaller guys. He definitely takes advantage of the guys, and his IQ is really high. He's only averaging 1.8 turnovers per 36 minutes. And we're going to take a look at his heat map. The heat map basically shows where he does all his scoring from. As you can see, there's a lot of scoring in the paint, and then we have things on the wing and then the shallow corners, and all of that is him posting up the smaller guards. I think that Shaun Livingston is the ideal backup point guard. No, I wouldn't start him over, let's say, like Steph Curry, but him being on that team definitely plays an impact. For this next guy on the list, I kind of cheated a bit. For the other guys on the list, I tried to pick players that were averaging under 20 minutes per game, but this guy is averaging 20.7. I'm talking about Clint Capela. So this year has been a slow one for the Rockets. They started off really tough, fired their coach, and they're kind of dealing with a bunch of chemistry things in their locker room. But recently they just jumped back into the playoff picture, and I think Clint Capela plays a big part in this team. Clint Capela is probably one of the bright spots in this organization right now. He isn't known for his offense, but he definitely makes his presence known while he's on the court. When he's on the court, his team offensive rating is high just by 1 point, so it's not a lot, but the opposing team's offensive rating drops by almost 4. And similar to the Luke Richard-Mute case, this team started off really rough and they didn't really know who to start at that position, but eventually Clint Capela became the starter, and the team right now has 29 wins, and 20 of those wins have come with Clint Capela in the starting lineup. So the team is 20-15 when he started, which is really good considering what the alternative guy does. And I just think that he's not played enough. I think just because you can't really play him and Dwight Howard at the same time. So it's kind of a gray area right there. But I do think he deserves more minutes and that he's underutilized. If you did enjoy this video, as always, be sure to leave it a like. If you have any other ideas of videos similar to this, be sure to drop them down in the comment section. I'll try to hit on as many of them as I can. I really enjoyed making this video. It took a lot of time, but I think the outcome is going to be great. This has been the King of the Fourth Quarter. Thank you so much for watching.